on the list is Texas A&M at Mizzou. It's a 2:30 game, and A&M is favored by 6.5. Your thoughts?
Let's see. We said Texas A&M Mizzou. That's the one we're going with first.
Yes.
Let's see. Let me get to my notes. Uh, da, 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 da. Yeah, Texas A&M Missouri. This was a game that was set up to be really nice just a couple weeks ago. But unfortunately, as is a game of football, guys get hurt. Bo Prabula for Missouri, the quarterback there, did get hurt. Nasty, nasty injury. Hurt leg, I believe, ankle. Don't
Mm-hmm.
know exactly the diagnosis. Done the rest of the year regardless. Um, that sucks. I'm a big fan of Prabula. I think he's a really good quarterback. Not great. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. I like the dynamic they had there with him and Ahmad Hardy with Drink. Like that, I thought that was just a fun combination of guys. But it's football. Guys get hurt. Um, Texas A&M. Last time we saw them, they went into Death Valley and killed Brian Kelly in front of 100,000 people and millions more watching. Pretty sure like now when they show the replay of that game, they have to put a PG-13 rating on it because of what Texas A&M did to LSU. It's a dominant win. Last time we saw Missouri was Vandy, lost to Vandy with Prabula getting hurt. Nasty game, 17-10 was like the final score.
And a few inches
This was
away
one that,
from overtime. Didn't mean to cut you off,
yeah, right.
but
They were right
crazy.
there. No, you're right. Score doesn't even do justice, man. It was like that close
Yeah.
from being a different ball game. But so you feel it for Missouri. I like Missouri. I like what they had. Caught a couple bad breaks. You could even say they caught a couple bad breaks against Alabama. You could say that they are seriously like 4 plays away from being undefeated right now. And that's not crazy. That's
They're
not
so
crazy at
close.
all. Um, so you got to feel for that, but I appreciate that personally because I'm an Alabama fan. I was on the beneficiary side of one of those. Um, I'm high on A&M. We do our top 25 rankings. If you have not checked that out, they are on our Instagram, so please go check them out. Um, I do have Texas A&M second in the nation behind Ohio State. There's a reason for that. I'm really high on Texas A&M. Um, I do think they are really good. They are legit. Mike Elko, legit, really good hire. One of the better hires this decade so far. Um, and I was skeptical about that hire, even though he came from Duke. So I was high on Mike Elko, because I like Duke a little bit. So me being high on Mike Elko, I was still like, how's he gonna fit in Texas A&M, College Station, big SEC program? But he's done a great job. If Bo Pribula was playing, I think I'd probably be a little bit more torn on this game. Uh, but ultimately, like I'm a big fan of A&M. I think they're really good. Even though it is a road game, 2:30. Um, I don't know if you said the spread on this game or not, but
Uh,
it is 5.5. A&M is a 5.5
is
point
it?
favorite, so less than a touchdown favorite. So that's nothing crazy, nothing to tune out to. Like tune into this game because I don't know who the backup Missouri quarterback is. Maybe he's a dog, and he's had 2 weeks to get ready for this moment. So maybe A&M comes in a little relaxed. I said it. I thought if they beat LSU a couple weeks ago, that they had pretty much punched their ticket to the college football playoff. The Texas A&M players do not need to feel that way because if they feel that way, they could be walking into a trap this week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not ruling out Missouri. We're gonna get into predictions later. I feel more confident towards Texas A&M just because Bo Pribula's out. Um, ultimately, um, these really are two really good teams. Like I said, Missouri's really close to being undefeated. But ultimately, I seriously just the big difference. Texas A&M, really, really good football team, elite, top four in the nation. Uh, very well possibly could win the SEC title. Um, the only left undefeated SEC team, like just overall, even out of conference and stuff. So give me A&M. I think they're just too good. I think they're going to give this Missouri defense some fits. Depends on, do we see the A&M offense that showed up versus like an Auburn? Which credit Auburn's defense, but A&M's offense didn't necessarily play great either. Or do we see the one that showed up versus LSU? If it's the one that showed up versus LSU, Missouri doesn't stand a chance. If it's the one that showed up versus Auburn, Missouri, if they can move the football, if this quarterback's worth anything, this could be a game. This could be a game. I'll be driving to Tuscaloosa, so I will be watching it on my phone, maybe.
Listen,
But I will
because we
definitely be
don't watch
keeping
and
up with it.
drive. You'll be
Well, no,
listening
I
because
won't be
we don't
driving. I'll
watch
be
and
riding.
drive.
I'll be
Oh,
I'll be riding. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. Nah,
Okay.
nah, I'm going with my dad. He's driving.
Okay.
I'm riding.
Okay. Just had to make
So
sure we
I will
wasn't.
not be doing any driving and watching.
Okay.
I've never done that. Um, never done that. Don't condone that at all.
Who does
But
that?
I'm gonna be tuned in because this has potential. I think it solely comes off of, does Missouri have a gem and backup quarterback, and what mindset does A&M come into the game with? Because A&M is only sitting at 8-0. They can lose all 4 games, and they're back to 8-4. So it's not impossible. And I'm not gonna rule it out because it is Texas A&M we're talking about. So I'm gonna make them prove me wrong. Well, A&M could still go 8-4,
Yeah, you going
but
on the 8-4 thing?
um,
You
before
said
I
if they got a
fully
gym.
believe in A&M, I need to see them hit 9 wins, and this is their opportunity. It's going to show me a lot about their competitive characteristic, them going to Missouri in a game that they probably feel pretty confident about, especially with Bo Beulah being out, how they handle themselves coming off a bye week before that, dominating LSU, getting a coach fired. Um, so that'll tell me a lot about them. I'm going to go with A&M to win that game because I am really high on them. And I think they are legit national title contenders.
While yes, Bo Prabula is hurt. This matchup statistically favors really well for Mizzou defensively. I think it'll be a lot closer than even you think. I think if Mizzou's defense comes to play, it's at home. Um, if they show up, I think it's a real dogfight. Mizzou's defense allows 18 points per game. That is 16th in the nation. A&M's offense is converting on third down 42% of the time. That's 47th nationally. Mizzou's defense is only allowing their opponents to convert on third down 29% of the time. That's 6th nationally. That's a matchup to watch for me. Now, here's what I think is going to be interesting. This game is going to be won on third down and red zones for both teams. So I told you the third down. A&M's offense is finishing 93 to 94% of the time in the red zone. That's 12th nationally. Mizzou's defense is only allowing their opponents to finish 79% of the time in the red zone. That's 30th nationally. And here's what is really interesting to me. Mizzou converts on third down 48% of the time. That's 18th nationally. But A&M has the number 1 in the nation third down defense. If Mizzou can get over that hump, I think some of that is inflated from the Auburn game.
And the LSU game.
Yeah.
LSU sucks on third down too.
So I think it's a bit inflated. So if you can get over that hump, A&M is allowing their opponents to score 96% of the time in the red zone. That is 130th. Yo, bro, 131st nationally. We're gonna
131th.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Hey, I wasn't no A and B student. I wasn't no A and B
You have the
student.
degree though.
I got a diploma. I don't know about a
Yeah.
degree.
Well, yeah, that's right. Not a degree diploma. I get the two mixed up. High school degree. You don't get that. You get a high school diploma.
Nonetheless, if Mizzou can find a way to convert on third down and get in that red zone, A&M's red zone defense has been god awful. And I think that's where this game is won. Can Mizzou overcome the third down and get into the red zone? If they can, we got a ball game. If they can't, A&M's just going to dominate. And I think that game is really where it's going to be won on both sides. Mizzou has a fairly good red zone defense. A&M has a really good red zone offense. A&M has a really good third down defense. Mizzou has a pretty solid or really good third down offense. But that's not counting the fact that Bo Prabula is out. I think that third down matchup for Mizzou is just going to be the answer to everything. If they can convert on third down, find their way to the red zone, I think we got a real ball game. And if not, A&M takes the cake.
Yeah, I'd agree. Well, we'll get into predictions later, and I'll make my exact prediction. This could be a ball game. It is one that I'm watching out for. But ultimately, I'm not going to doubt Texas A&M because I think they are legit. You picked them to win the national title just a week ago, so don't know if that was just for fun or if you really genuinely believe that. But
when we do like real predictions, they probably won't be my
fair.
pick. We'll see.
You know, hey,
they could shock me. I need to see what they do for the rest of the year. If they go to the SEC champ, that's when I'll know 100% for sure.
Yeah.
Everything I need to know about Texas A&M.
We'll find out a lot about them when they go to Austin, the last week of the year. And we got so many good games that week, dude. Holy crap! Gonna be nuts.
Week?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a tough one for the podcast.
Nah, definitely. Sorry if I seem distracted. I got a live feed of the scores going around the country of basketball right now.
I don't blame you, bro. I'm unfortunately watching the Auburn basketball game.
Yeah, you're watching it? What's going on?
Bethune-Cookman is on fire. It don't seem like they're missing a shot. If they lose, I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's tough to be an Auburn fan sometimes.
I don't know if you've seen the UAB score. They just lost the actual Lindenborg and a couple guys, but they just won 106-55. And of course, Alabama's handling business versus a bad school. But Auburn, I think they'll win. But that's interesting. First game of the year. We're not gonna look too much into it.
You know, Stephen.
You remember last year? You remember last year when Alabama went to North Dakota and kind of had a close game, and everybody made a big deal about it, and then Alabama went on to make the Elite Eight. It's not the end of the world.
I don't really pay attention until like the second week of basketball, really.
Thanksgiving week, when they do all those Thanksgiving tournaments, that's when you really need to lock in.
Yeah,
that's when they really start playing good
SEC
teams.
Matchup, I watch all that
right.
stuff. That's when I'm starting to click in on the college basketball.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I agree.
But with all that being said, Mississippi State versus Georgia is the next game. It's at 11 a.m. It's in Mississippi State, and Georgia is favored by 7.5.
Yeah, at Mississippi State, so Georgia has kind of caught some breaks in some of these games recently. I don't know if you've changed your opinion, but I know when we first saw it, we both said catch. If you know what we're talking about, you know exactly what we're talking about. I think it was a catch.
Now,
I could kind of see the side of not enough to overturn because it was really close. I felt like I had a clear enough shot to say that it bounced off his forearm.
Me
That's
personally,
just me though.
you show one side and it's bouncing off of his forearm, and then you show the other side and it's bouncing off of his forearm. So if
Yeah.
both sides are bouncing off of his forearm, I don't know what's left
the
to debate.
the funniest thing is then like some people who are like trying to say it's not a catch is they're saying, look, you can see the grass bounce up, but the grass is going up the whole time because his arms are sliding across the field. That's the stupidest argument I have ever seen. Anyway, we both think it's a catch. Point is, Georgia's been catching some lucky breaks. I predicted Georgia to miss the playoffs last week because I looked at Florida and I said they could lose that game. I'm looking at this week and I'm saying they can lose that game. I'm looking when Texas comes to town. If Texas is continuing to get better, which I'm maybe they do, maybe they don't. That is a losable game. I'm looking at the last week of the season at Georgia Tech. That is a losable game. They have a lot of losable games. They have another one this week on the road with the stupid but awesome cowbells that will be deafening from start to finish. Mississippi State just coming off their first SEC win so far this season. That's huge for them. Congrats to them, Hell State. I've always liked Mississippi State, even though they're kind of a historic rival of Alabama's. I've always liked them. Some of the nicest fans. And then, of course, you know, they were doing good. They were on the up and up. And then, of course, the tragedy with Coach Mike Leach. So big fans of Mississippi State. I love that they are finally like getting better. I love that. But this is where they could really knock on that door and say, hey, like we're here. We're not the worst team in the SEC anymore, and we can kind of compete with you like big, like I guess the better SEC teams. Um, I'm not sure how many more times Georgia can just get a little bit lucky. I'm not sure and continue to get away with it. If you get what I mean by that. So, like let's say they do call it a touchdown versus Auburn and Auburn goes up 17-0. What if they do call it a catch versus Florida and they go down and score a touchdown? Georgia could be 3 losses right now. But they're not. They found a way to win those games. And credit to them for finding a way to win those games. But we would be remiss if we did not say they could have had a little help here and there from some officials, from some third parties, whether it's God himself helping them in the case of the Tennessee game. I didn't mention that game either. But they got lucky in that game. Missed field goal, lucky. So lucky versus Tennessee versus Auburn. Call it luck. Call it interference from a third party. Call it the right call. I don't care. But it was about that close, if nothing else, to possibly being a different story. And then, of course, versus Florida, got a little lucky. Very close, nonetheless. My question is, can they keep that up? If they go to Mississippi State, do they continue with that kind of luck, with that kind of how can they sustain keeping that kind of competitive characteristic throughout the whole season of a SEC season, playing in the SEC? I think if there's one place that it could catch up to them, if Mississippi State hangs around, it's here. It's with the Cowbells. 2:30 game with the time change. The game will be finishing when it's dark outside. So the lights, everything that comes with a night game. So I'm interested to see how Georgia continues, if they kind of get worn down from all these games, or if they just keep building off of them. And then if it comes down to an official's call, do they continue to be on the lucky end of that, or does it go the other way? Because they are extremely close to being a 4-loss team. Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn, Florida. They are really close. They are seriously like a half a dozen plays away from being a 4-loss team compared to being a 1-loss team. So, I was going back and forth on this game all week. Didn't really know who to pick. I take Kirby Smart in these kind of situations. I trust him until proven otherwise. But Mississippi State, man, they are good, and they absolutely pose a threat to Georgia, especially with it being in Starkville, especially. So we'll see how Georgia bounces back off of an emotional win in Jacksonville versus a rival. And can they keep that momentum going, or do they kind of start slow again? Georgia's been starting slow all season. If Mississippi State starts fast, Georgia may never come back. So how this game starts on both sides of the ball is going to be extremely important.
Yeah. I think more so that I was I don't want to say high on Mississippi State. I was higher than most on Mississippi State earlier in the year. I took them in games that I thought they could compete. They would compete and then they would just find a way to lose. They found a way to win last week against Arkansas, of all teams, Arkansas.
The one
Um,
you picked them to lose against,
yeah,
ironically.
yeah, because that's how I get down. That's just me and my luck. Um, but I just with the struggles, the defense has become very lackluster. Um, the red zone defense is not really good. Their third down defense is not amazing. It's nothing thriller. I just think Georgia's too much. I don't think they find a way to win. I think they can keep it close for about 2.5 quarters. But I just think Georgia's too much. Not they rank 95th nationally in red zone defense, and to me that's just not something you can allow against a team like Georgia. Um, but they may surprise me. I don't think Mississippi State's defense will be enough to slow down Georgia. Georgia's gonna make their adjustments. We know how they get down. Um, I don't have many thoughts on the game. It's a really rough week in college football, and I don't. I wish there was a better game than this. I don't want to be. I don't know what else to say. It would be interesting for Mississippi State to come out with them cowbells and cause some noise and get Gunner Stockton on edge and see what happens. He might end up blaming somebody for doing something because Georgia quarterbacks like to do that. Maybe a few. Um, so let's see what those cowbells will do. It might be fun. I think Mississippi State has the power to make it interesting for about 2.5 quarters. And then Georgia will make their adjustments and just shut down Mississippi State. And I don't think Mississippi State's defense has enough to keep Georgia contained. And I think it'll be a pretty easy win for the Dogs.
Yeah, I mm, I don't know. It could be. It could be. I'm torn on this game. I really am. Um, we'll see. I don't actually have a prediction written down, so I'll make up my mind when we actually make the predictions. I kind of have one of those every week where I just really don't know, so I just don't predict, and then just kind of go with my gut right
You
at
know,
the
I need
time it is
to
to predict. But
I need to really start like locking in my predictions the night before because usually I just go with my gut. I just
yeah,
go with what I'm feeling in the moment when you ask me these predictions, and it's not been working for me.
that's why I try to send them to you so that way I don't catch you off guard, because that's unfair. But
Now I'll be prepared to just
yeah,
take my whack at it, but I need to do better. I need to just start
yeah.
predicting them the night before.
Um, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what I go with. I'm not sure yet. We'll see.
Now, on to one of the better games that will be happening this weekend. Better? My prediction might say otherwise. But BYU at Texas Tech at 11 a.m. Texas Tech is favored by 10.5. Texas Tech coming off of an impressive win against Cincinnati. It wasn't even close, really, at all.
Utah just beat Cincinnati.
That's right. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing.
But BYU did beat Utah, so
BYU did beat Utah. Texas Tech is coming off of a bye, aren't they? I believe.
they did. Yes,
And BYU just played. They might have just come off of a bye because I don't remember who they played.
BYU. Let's see. I'll tell you. They did just come off of a bye,
Right.
and to confirm, Texas Tech did play Saturday. They went to Kansas State and beat them 43-20.
Mm. Mm. Alrighty. So many. It was a really good week last week. That's my excuse.
It was. Yeah.
Until you turned on that Kentucky Auburn game, dude. That was one of the hardest games I've ever had to sit through, dude. I wanted to turn
Look,
that thing off so early.
I texted a couple like Auburn buddies of mine, and I was like, I hated watching that, and I hate Auburn. It was just so painful.
Bad. And I could have watched
So
a whole
painful.
lot of other games. It's
That
alright.
yeah,
It's okay.
that USC Nebraska one was pretty good.
Shout out, R.I.P. Dylan Raiola and his fibula.
Oh man, yeah. What do you do? Tear his ACL?
Fibula.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, broken fibula. You're right. Man, that sucks. Sucks.
It does. He's a stud. Dude is a
Yeah.
baller. I don't care what you can say. Whatever you want about it, Patrick Mahomes.
Nah, I don't care nothing about that.
He's a baller, real deal football player. Anyways, it has nothing to do with BYU Texas Tech. I think both of these teams are really good. I think BYU is undefeated for a reason. Tech only has one loss. But BYU has escaped and escaped and escaped. And I'm looking at this matchup on paper, and Texas Tech just looks dominant. I don't really think BYU going to Tech has a chance. It might be close, but I think BYU drops their first game this week. Texas Tech is the third highest points per game in the nation and the fifth in allowed points per game in the nation. That is amazing. Granted, it's the Big 12, a little bit of different competition, but nonetheless, top 5 in both categories, outstanding. Statistically, they're just a really good football team on paper. The one thing I think BYU maybe can do is bend don't break and get out of there on Texas Tech. Maybe force them to some field goals. Maybe force some turnovers. I think they're number 2 in turnover margin. I think they're number 2 nationally in turnover margin. BYU is. So if they can force some turnovers, bend don't break, I think we got ourselves a ball game. But I just think Texas Tech is going to be too much. I think that defense is too good. They're probably the best defense in the Big 12, like on paper and on the field. That would probably be my pick. And having the best defense in the Big 12 goes a long way for the Big 12. If you can compete every Saturday with your defense alone in the Big 12, you have a shot. And then you add on their electric offense. It's just going to be really hard for BYU to pull this one off. I like BYU. I think BYU is a sleeper team. But I also told you a few weeks ago that things are about to get absolutely insane in the Big 12, and I think this is one of those games that kind of set it off. So that way there's no more undefeated teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, this would be the one that would do it. I guess my biggest question going to the game is how does this Texas Tech D-line, which is one of the, if not the, well, maybe not the best, but is seriously one of the best in the nation, top 5, I would say so. What's the dude's name? Bear Bachmeier, the freshman quarterback who wears number like 44 or 47 for for
it's
BYU.
Actually I can't remember the full story, but the story that I heard
it's a
was
cool
actually
story.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. But he won't face a D line like this the whole rest of the year, and he hasn't up until this point. This is a really good D line that is going to push him his limit. Of course, this game is in Lubbock, Texas. This is where game day is going to be, back to back, a Big 12 game days. All you people saying that it's biased towards the SEC can shut up now, because turns out they just really go to where the best game is every week. Fun fact.
I
That's
believe
crazy.
that. I don't know why
Um,
there has to be a narrative.
yeah, right. Anyway, I say that we don't even really have any SEC haters that watch the show.
I don't know why you. If
So
you're an SEC hater, I don't know why you
yeah,
watch. That's
yeah,
okay.
you don't need to be watching this show. Um, but my biggest concern for BYU, outside of how does Bear Bachmeier handle the pressure from this Texas D line, is this game is 11 a.m. Central Time. BYU is Mountain Time. So we make a big deal about these 11 a.m. kickoffs and everything. It is 10 a.m. body time for these BYU players to get up and play a top 10 matchup, game day having been there, against a really, really, really good Texas Tech team who is going to push you like no one else has all year. The dynamics support Texas Tech hugely. I've been high on BYU even before the season. You know, me and my dad, we do these like preseason like over under win totals every year. We did it for the first time this year, but we did it for every Division One team and a few like G5 teams. Um, a lot of like when Jake Ratcliffe transferred from BYU, their over under win total shot down. And people were not high on them because they didn't know what BYU was going to bring to the table. I stayed high on them. I picked them to go over. I thought this BYU team would be a 9 to 10 win team. Here we are looking like they're going to be a 9 to 10 win team just because I know the style of football that this team plays. So I'm a fan of BYU. I like the way they play football. I'm a fair Bear Bachmeier. Um, However, I think the dynamics are against BYU, and I do think Texas Tech is the better team. But I think it's a good matchup for Texas Tech. The dynamics are in favor of Texas Tech, and I think they're just a better team. So I will go with Texas Tech, but this is a huge game in playoff implications. Huge, no doubt about it. And this could be there could be a rematch of this game here in a few weeks in
There
the Big
could
12
be.
championship game. I think there will be personally, which will be exciting to get it on a neutral site at a more favorable time for BYU.
That
But
will be fun.
until then, we'll go into scores later, but I'm gonna go Tech.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it will be fun if they do get a rematch. Sorry, I keep looking over. Oh,
Man,
Tulane is going to Memphis at 8 p.m. Memphis is a 6.5 point favorite. Um, and to be quite honest, I think Memphis is the clear favorite. Um, I think Memphis is the better overall team. I know John Summerall is in current coaching um, talks for obviously potentially my Auburn Tigers. So nothing bad about him, but I do think Memphis is the better overall team. Um, Nothing Tulane does to me will be able to compete with Memphis. I think Memphis offense is just too good. They have a solid defense to be in the American Conference. Um, what strikes me is 97% of the time when Memphis gets in the red zone, they score. That is third in the nation. They're third in the nation on um, red zone efficiency. Um, so they're really good when they get down there. Um, and on top of that, they only allow their opponent to score 72% of the time when they get into the red zone, and that is 11th nationally. So really good red zone offense and defense for Memphis. Like I said, I just don't see anything for Tulane to have enough considering it's at Memphis and it's a night game, and Memphis needs to win out to have a chance to go to the playoffs. So I think Memphis is the better team. I think the matchup lines up for them. Like I said, John Summerall, obviously in head coaching talks for multiple SEC schools, so nothing bad about him. I just think this Memphis team is overall better.
Yeah, I'd agree. This even you talked about John Summerall. Ryan Silverfield up at Memphis is also a name that's been getting thrown around.
Mm-hmm.
Not too terribly high on the list, but he is on there. So this could be a game where you could be watching Auburn's future head coach on either side of the ball. Um, I think Memphis does win. I think they just have the better team. Not a knock on Summerall. I just genuinely do think they have the better team. Kind of a float game versus UAB. UAB is the best team in the nation. At least they were for 1 week. um, kind of was a trap game for them. Rivalry game on the road. Bad UAB team just coming off of firing their head coach. So trap game. So I'm not looking too far into it as much as I would love to just dog Memphis for that loss, which I still am, by the way. Go Blazers. Um, yeah. I think Memphis is the better team, one of the better teams in the country at the G5 level. You have them ranked. I don't, but they are not far off my ranking board. So give me Memphis. I just think they're the better team. Better defensively. Their quarterback is back and healthy after kind of missing most of the UAB game. So that's huge for them. So we'll see how it goes. This is a big game. Also, it is at Memphis, which I think does also play a factor.
Yeah, and it's at 8 o'clock.
Right. It is a late game, isn't it? Yeah, I noticed that.
It is crazy.
It is late.
I think that'll make the environment 10 times better. I
I
might
think so
actually
too.
watch this game. Or I might actually get to watch this game. Who knows?
In Bryant-Denny Stadium, they have like a live ticker of game scores. I will be constantly looking at that ticker to see how this game is going.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun one. I think Tulane can do it. Highly unlikely in my opinion. I have nothing more for this game. You just look at me.
What's so funny?
Oh man, there's nothing funny.
I got the live feed over here now, but they're kind of Auburn's. I think they're gonna pull away. What do you have the score at right now?
On my TV,
Yeah.
I think it's 85-84.
Oh, okay. The game cast I'm watching is a little bit ahead of you,
Oh man,
so I'll keep my mouth shut.
I'm watching Keyshawn Hall sink a free throw. Shout out Keyshawn Hall, bro.
All right.
He's a dog. So here's where it gets tough. Okay, we have one more game. Iowa State at TCU. It's at 2:30, and TCU are 6.5-point favorites. I think this will be a good game too. I will not be watching it because I'll be watching the DJ Durkin masterclass.
Defensively, yes, always. Hopefully, I don't know. Diego Pavia and the boys, they have y'all's number.
He didn't have our number last year. We just couldn't win. Diego stunk it up against us last year. We just couldn't score offensively.
Sounds about right, given y'all's offensive situation over the past couple of years.
Dilemma is what I would call it. I think, no offense to you and your Cyclones over there, I think the Iowa State Cyclones have been overrated for a while. They've been in and out of the top 25. They lost to Arizona State this last week on their backup quarterback, which had an amazing game. I was watching it, and I think his name is Jeff Sims. He went absolutely insane. It was fun to watch. Oh, man. It was really fun to watch. And I just think TCU is an underrated team in the Big 12. I told you there's going to be some crazy things going on. I think they're both 3-loss teams. I could be wrong on that.
I think they are. I think you're right.
So And I think TCU is just overall a better team.
Yeah, Iowa State was my preseason Big 12 title pick. As you know, I am a closeted Iowa State fan. I've been rolling with them all year. We've picked multiple of their games, and I've only been right on one of them, and it was the Iowa game. I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I definitely picked them. The question is, did we do it in a video? I can't remember. Regardless, that's the only game that I've predicted that they actually won. Disappointing. Rocco Becht, Condren is their running back, I think is his last name. Matt Campbell, great head coach. Not really living up to what I thought they'd be this year. Thought the Big 12 was wide open. It was. Turns out Texas Tech, BYU, Cincinnati, all pretty good in the conference. So is Utah and Iowa State, coming off of a big week 0 win in Ireland versus Kansas State. Just really, after beating Iowa, they beat Kansas State and they beat Iowa, and it was looking like they were off to the races, and then have just sputtered out a few times. I'm high on Josh Hoover. I've talked pretty highly about him multiple times this year. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think TCU is a really good team. Sonny Dykes, their head coach, really good head coach. Um, so it pains me. It pains me. It brings me no joy to step aside from my cyclonism and say that they've let me down. They've let me down, and I'm gonna have to. Sadly, gonna have to step away this week. I'll be back though. I'll be back. We'll be back. The Cyclones will be back. But yeah,
Um,
give me TCU at home.
some stats that pop off the paper for me about Iowa State. 32% of the time they convert on third down. That's 120th in the nation. It's pretty bad. Their red zone efficiency, they only score 78% of the time they get in the red zone. That's 104th nationally. Also pretty bad. Their red zone
Yeah.
defense, their opponents score 91% of the time when they get into the red zone. That is 118th nationally. Once again, pretty bad. Um, all the stats you want to be really good in, they're really bad at. And it's just tough to take them against this against this electric TCU offense, against this electric TCU team that can definitely find a way to pull away.